It being 10:30, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Greater Lafourche Port Commission of January 10th, 2018 to order. Mr. David Brewer, you lead the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to please remind you to turn down your cell phones, please. Next is we have roll call. Mr. Sheremy.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have seat A, Chucky Sheremy here. Seat B, Perry Gisclair.
Here.
Seat C, Chris Gaudet.
Here.
Seat D, Rodney Gisclair.
Here.
Seat E, Curtis Pierce.
Here.
Seat F, Larry Griffin.
Here.
Seat G, John Melisson.
Here.
Seat H, Jimmy Guidry.
Here.
Seat I, Irvin Bruce.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheremy. Next is consider approval of minutes for December 13th, 2017 regular meeting. So, moved by Mr. Melisson, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Sorry about that, Mr. President.
No problem. Next is Executive Director's report. Mr. Shelso.
Thank you, Mr. President. First on the agenda is our Northern Expansion projects. Northern Expansion Slip C 950-foot west sweep dredging project. Angelette Piciola, Mr. Larry Piciola.
Yeah, this project is complete. We received the lien-free certificate. It's coming up late in the agenda for approval.
Any questions?
Okay, Northern Expansion GLF 625 site improvements.
This project is complete. The lien-free certificate has been filed. The contract is sea level is coming off of notice. The 45 days will be February 18th. So this will be in front of your March meeting for approval.
Any questions from the board?
And Dave, if you can give him an update on the activity on the site.
Yes, Gibson did move on site and they did start paying lease rental on that property. They utilizing the bulkhead. They do have two buildings, foundations that are under construction, and they're also building a facility right along the water. So they are operating on the facility and paying their rent.
Okay, Northern Expansion Slip C 939-foot west bulkhead.
Yeah, the contract on this project is sea level. He's moving along very well. He has 8 of the 15 dead men poured. The whaler beam is in place and welded out on the inside of the bulkhead. All the bumper pipe brackets are welded out and in place. He's going to start excavating to start bringing in some lightweight aggregate probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Is moving on. He had a total of 12 rain days so far on this project. New completion date for this project is April 22nd.
And the freeze weather, he overcame that.
Yeah, he's going to overcome that. Yeah, it's not a problem.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Larry.
Okay, Northern Expansion Slip C 1,671-foot east bulkhead.
It's Crosby Dredging's on site. They've been excavating for their dead men. They started driving piles yesterday. They drove 10 piles yesterday, and their goal is to get anywhere from 12 to 15 a day. So I expect that they'll ramp up and get to that quantity. They're also blasting and coating steel sheets in Alabama and Mississippi right now to be delivered to the site in the next couple months. So we are progressing along.
Any questions for Joe? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, mitigation dredge of Slip D. J. Wayne Plaisance Engineers, John.
Crosby Dredging is also the contractor for this project. He keeps putting more material in the mitigation area. Things are going well. Rapidly Pond's starting to fill up. It's going to be a marsh soon.
Okay, so with that, with what you just said, let me go ahead and I wanted to make a comment. I know in reaction to some social media discussion that has been taking place about this project. This is a mitigation project. So the Rapalais hole being filled is creating over 90 acres of marsh elevation that is part of the mitigation for the Slip D project. So you may have seen if folks that are going to Port Fourchon every day or on a periodic basis may have seen some elevated sections along LA 3090. That's about what, Davey, 30 acres or so that we created that was part of our, that already
Development.
permitted and development. That's the only section that's being developed. The rest of the pond is over 90 acres that is actually mitigation. We were only mandated to do 60 acres of mitigation, and we're actually doing over 90 acres of mitigation. So we're going above and beyond what we've been mandated to do as part of the permitting. So I just wanted to kind of make that clear to the public that we're doing what we're supposed to do, and we're good stewards of the environment. And this is going to be a mitigation area, again, that's going to be actually useful to the public whenever it's fully completed. It's going to be several years from now, but you know, people will be able to see it and touch and feel an actual mitigation area that typically people don't get to see. So this is a good thing, not negative by any means.
And it is one of the first to have a recreational component,
Correct.
meaning knowing we had to do a tidal creek, we're gonna do that tidal creek large enough where people can actually kayak and fish if they choose, or bird watch, whatever they wanna do in that
And-
90 acres of property.
Correct, and we've been, for lack of a better term, applauded by the majority of the environmental agencies and permitting groups and commenters for the work that we're actually doing. So, just wanted to make that clear.
And
Yeah.
to clarify, none of that will be used for any commercial industry. It'll be strictly for mitigation and regeneration
The
of the
90
marsh.
acres of marsh is being created, correct.
It's just for recreational.
Let's be clear. We're actually creating a little bit more than 90 acres of marsh, but there's a rim section that is eligible for development. You can see on this here. So there's an area that is going to be able to be developed if that's deemed necessary. But within that entire footprint, there's over 90 acres that's being slated solely for marsh.
I may have structured that question. A portion of it is for commercial, but 90 acres, the majority is for marsh
Mitigation,
restoration
yeah.
and non-commercial use.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Goodey.
Yeah, the excess mitigation that we're doing now, does that count towards any future requirements that we may have?
No, it does not.
It does not.
It was part of an exchange that we were doing because we were doing some things in our mitigation area that's slated as that, and then by changing this.
So it's just our own
Absolute-
stewardship towards
correct. That's
environment.
correct. Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Perry.
On that.
Yeah, just, Joe,
Mr. Griffin.
just for Joe, you said the coating's being done in Mississippi and Alabama?
For the 1671 bulkhead project?
Alabama and Texas.
Okay, because you said Mississippi.
It's a specialty coating that we require,
Okay.
and there's only certain places that do it. There was a place on the West Bank that did it before, but he closed down. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, airport projects. Richard.
Okay, I'll do the operations first. In the month of December was somewhat slow, but steady. 2,134 operations, 8,093 passengers processed through, and 4,078 vehicles. Our year-end total is 29,100 operations, 113,475 passengers, and 86,962 vehicles. Slight increases in the operations and passengers from the 2016 numbers we had on hand.
Good numbers
Very
for the
good.
year, absolutely.
Get back up one there, yeah. The taxiway lighting and runway LED upgrades, those folks continue to work on site. They're out there today. They're actually putting the formwork down for the concrete bases. So this is the meat and potatoes of the work that's being done now. That's the formwork there. The loop brine line replacement, Mr. Davy Bro and I are supposed to meet with the loop project manager this afternoon, go over the site. They're about ready to seed it. So I think next week, about this time, they should be completely off-site and wrapped up with this phase of the project. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Richard? Thank you.
All right.
Okay, other projects. First is Section 203 feasibility study, GIS engineering. Mahan.
Mohan Menon from GIS Engineering. Good morning and Happy New Year. I have 5 or 6 points for as update. The economics report is going to be completed within a month. The geotech notice to proceed was given, and they will complete their work and submit the report within 60 days from last week. And we had a couple of meetings with the Water Institute to discuss the disposal plan, and that meeting was a successful meeting. And in that meeting, we have decided to have a weekly conference call to update the progress of their activities, as well as if any questions they have, we'll be able to help them, and vice versa. And Johnny actually, I participated along with you in that meeting, and Johnny will be participating in the future meetings with them. And also, we are discussing on a regular basis with the environmental agencies regarding their requirements and needs for our EIS. And all those meetings are attended by Johnny also here. Thank you, Johnny, for that. And she's a great help in getting some things done, and a great person to kind of exchange ideas to. In our estimate, a draft EIS for public review will be released on March 15th. There is a 45 days public review requirement, and at the same time, the draft IFR, that is the feasibility study report, integrated feasibility study report, also will be issued for IEPR, that is external peer review by another entity, which takes between 30 to 45 days. So after all that, compiling the comments and everything, we are expecting the final EIS and the integrated feasibility report to be mailed to the DC ASA office by June of 2018. And at this time, I need to make sure that all these dates are incumbent upon the agency's coordination and cooperation with us. We have a couple of documents that we are expecting from them, such as the Coordination Act from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, and also a biological opinion that needs to be submitted to us by National Marine Fisheries Services. As you all know, federal agencies can be a little tricky at times, but we are hoping that that will not happen, because we are constantly engaging with them and listening to them and trying to provide what they require. So that's all for today.
And as a reminder to the commissioners and everyone else is, in 2 weeks when we're in DC, the plan is, and we have a request into those federal agencies that are going to review this, to have some meetings with them to say, hey, here's what's coming.
This is coming.
Be prepared.
Yes.
So we can do it on a face-to-face basis.
Sure.
So that should help out.
So if you need any help or any information, please let me know. We'll provide you with that.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back.
Thank you. All right, LA 308 Airport Access Improvements, PCO and Associates. Joe.
All the plans are complete. We do have a temporary approval from EDA on this, and we're waiting on 2 right-of-ways, the parish's right-of-way with you, the Port Commission, and the parish's right-of-way with the Water District. That was introduced at the parish council meeting last night, so in 2 weeks they should take it up for ratification. Once that's done, I assume we'll get the green light to go advertise for bids.
So, okay, so when would you anticipate the parish possibly approving these bids and kind of getting to, just for planning purposes for the next 7 months?
I'm assuming that we'll get approval at the next council meeting for the right-of-ways. Those have to be executed. So you're looking at 1st of February, March, April, probably sometime April, May.
It would be maybe on the construction?
Under contract, starting construction.
Summer, okay.
Yes.
Any other questions, Joe?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, LA1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge Project, Angelette Piciola. Mr. Larry.
Yes, the contract on this project is Magnolia Dredging and Docks. We're having our pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning, at 9:30, and they asked to have their notice to proceed issued for Monday. They are ready to start work. In fact, in the open area, the big open area that we have to fill, they already have their bamboo stakes with different flags on them for different elevations so they can have their goal where they got to achieve. So I don't expect them to be very long before they start dredging. The only thing they have to do is to close off a couple of small gaps to be able to contain the material. And so I think they're going to be within the next 2 weeks dredging and moving on.
Okay, good. So our project will be well out of the way before the state comes in to start their project.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Good.
Thank you, Larry.
Fouchon Bridge Removal Project, Piziola and Associates.
Yeah, so we received bids in December. Low bidder is Tidewater Docks, Golden Meadow, in the amount of $287,500. Last night at the council meeting, they accepted to award those bids, so the contracts will go out fairly soon. And I'm assuming probably in the next month, 30 days we'll get going. 45 days possibly.
All right. Any questions? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, update from the LA1 Coalition. Henri.
Good morning. Segment E of the LA1 project remains on track for construction starting this spring. DOTD is working with James Construction Group toward executing the construction contract by mid-March. The coalition is hopeful that the Trump administration will award infra grant funds to the project in the coming weeks, and we are working in advance with supporters on how best to secure remaining funds that would be needed to complete the project. Besides the pending infra application for LA1, we are awaiting release from the White House on details on the President's National Infrastructure Program. Whether LA1 is awarded money through infra or the Trump administration's new National Infrastructure Program, we will have to work diligently with the state on needed state match funds.
Among others, because we don't anticipate the state having enough money to do the full match. So there's a lot of different pots we have to look at and figure out.
And that's the update for this month. Any questions on this? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Henri.
Okay, and we're at public comment. I believe we do have a couple of people that would like to speak. I know Katie LaRoche would like to speak.
Good morning. Katie DeRoche with the Gulf Economics Revival Team. Last month, we were waiting for BOEM's 2019 through 2024 National OCS Draft Proposed Program, and it was recently released on January 4th. The draft states that it considers 90% of the Outer Continental Shelf, whereas 94% is off limits right now. The areas included are lease sales in the Alaska region, Pacific region, Atlantic region. And just yesterday evening, the Department of Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke announced that he is taking back considering the Florida Gulf and Florida's Atlantic coast. So those regions are off limits. There's a public meeting with BOEM on January 22nd in Baton Rouge for input. And currently there's a 60-day commenting period. Comments are due March 9th. And we will be drafting letters, and we can assist the port in any way for input. So just let us know. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe Mr. Andrew Martin would like to speak.
I want to speak on the airport corridor road on the west side of Bayou Lafourche. I think that we may have to do something else than what we did to go to the parish. In August, they brought the thing up to get a sense of what needs to be done, where to get the money and so forth. And then in September the 13th, I think y'all went up there and made a presentation. Excellent presentation. Everybody was for it, but guess what? Got voted down. The following meeting, I went up there because one of the main things they were asking for was appraisals. I presented to them 3 appraisals, gave them copies of the 3 appraisals that we had in my file, that I had in my file. The following meeting, y'all had sweetened up the pot and requested the council to go ahead and get it approved. By sweetening up the pot, Councilor Daniel Lorraine didn't even get a second on that thing. So I think we got caught in a situation, I'm talking about we, you know, the port and myself. There is a battle that's going on in the council, and I don't think whatever we do, you can finance that thing 100%, I don't think it's gonna get voted for. So what happened after that is that about 3 or 4 weeks ago, President Cantrell and Councilman Lorraine approached me about trying to get another resolution to present to the council. I told them at that particular time that I would not like to bring that up to the front of the council right now, because I think the council is butting heads so much that I don't think nothing's going to be passed that's going to be anything in this area. For what reason? It's strictly politics, and it's between the council. I don't think it has nothing to do with the project, has nothing to do with nothing else except the councils at odds with each other. Now, I don't know if I did the right thing in telling them, look, do not bring it back up again. But I did have, you know, in the beginning, a letter of commitment, or I guess a letter of understanding, or it might be a letter of misunderstanding, because whatever I got here in black and white has not done at all. And in that particular meeting, that we had to get this letter of understanding is that Councilman Lorraine was there, President Cantrell was there, and also Don Matern and the Picciola Associates was there also. So we had a letter of understanding, and it took so long to get this thing up to par that I think at the same time what happened, when we went there, went there at the wrong time. Because, not because of us, it's because of the council, we're at odds with each other. And I don't think, in fact, even Daniel, when y'all sweetened up the pot, he had another resolution to do another appraisal, and they turned that down. He couldn't get a second motion on that. So they turned that down. So I don't think what we do is not gonna happen. So I'm taking the thing down, and we're gonna have to look at the whole card. And at any time that y'all wanna meet, I'll be too glad to sit down and meet with y'all to decide which direction y'all wanna go. But as far as the council is concerned, the way it is now, I do not want to be the beating post, right, sitting in the middle, as far as myself is concerned. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not gonna be the beating post sitting in the middle between some councilman people that don't get along together. So I just wanna bring, and the reason I'm doing this is because I go to the grocery store, that's the first thing I ask, when y'all gonna build a bridge? I go to the church, when y'all gonna build a bridge? Anywhere as I go, it's the same thing, you know, keep asking that question. And I just think that the public ought to know what's going on. And the reason is, and I tell them, it says, look, if what I know and what I think I know is that you have to build the road on the west side before you can even talk about a bridge. Because I don't think you're gonna get any money unless you get that road built on the west side. And there's gonna be some federal money that's gonna be coming available. I can tell you that right now. I don't know when it's gonna be, but it's not, I don't think you're gonna wait 10 years like we did for the bridge at McDonald in La Rose. So, gentlemen, I just wanted to let y'all know, maybe some of you members did not know what was going on, and also the people in the 10th Ward, make them aware of what's going on also. And it has nothing to do with Councilman Lorraine, because I think he's done an excellent job for the people of the 10th Ward to bring it and to make a presentation. So I think it's just the wrong time for this This project, to be brought before the council, is strictly a political deal, and I've been in a lot of political deals, and that's a real doozy, I can tell you that right now. If y'all have any kind of question you want to ask, you're welcome to it. Anytime that y'all want to call me and talk about this thing, be too glad to do so. Any question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Appreciate it.
Any other public comment?
Any other public comment? Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, next we move into committee reports. And the first committee is Executive Committee. Members are Perry Gisclair, Chairman, Larry Griffin, Chucky Sheremy, and John Melison Jr. First, we go into number one is consider approving the property damage release from form for August 28, 2015 motor vehicle accident.
Okay, Bryce, you want to?
Yeah, as y'all are aware, we had a motor vehicle accident several years ago that we've been in discussions with the insurance company of the vehicle that hit ours. So we reached a settlement on the property damage to our unit, which has already been fixed. All we need to do is execute this release in order to deposit the check.
Moved by Mr. Gisclair. Second by Mr. Bruce. Any discussion? Any public comment?
I'd like to make a comment. I just want to let you know that I had changed my automobile insurance to the one we have for the port. In case I hit somebody in the back, they're gonna pay me. Changed mine.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the cooperative endeavor agreement with the South Louisiana Economic Council in support of Select, Aurora, and LA1 Coalition.
Okay, if you don't mind, we'd like to bring out to the public what this cooperative endeavor agreement is about. So what it does is it has the Port Commission and SLEC, South Louisiana Economic Council, which states that we're desirous of fostering community and economic development and prosperity within the parish of Lafourche and the Bayou region by instituting successful coastal restoration and infrastructure improvement plans. And what SLEC's going to do is SLEC will assist the port with its economic development, infrastructure development, and coastal restoration needs, and more specifically, SLEC shall be directly responsible for implementing the following functions. It employs the executive director for the LA1 Coalition and shall be responsible for carrying out the goals and objectives of the port and the coalition, and provides staff services for the coalition. It employs a full-time staff person, executive director for Restore or Retreat, and helps carry out the goals and objectives of the port and ROAR, and provides secretarial and support services for ROAR. It also maintains a public-private economic development partnership between SLEC and the port, and the end result is advancing the improvement in the broadest sense of all port activities. Has SLEC design and execute an industrial retention and expansion program to encourage local manufacturing and service industry to utilize port services, which they already do, is continuing that. Operation of an ongoing communications and promotions program for port development activities in the Bayou region, and provide the port support information in its endeavors to obtain financial assistance. What this agreement amounts to is $42,500 that goes to the South Louisiana Economic Council. 10,000 of that 42.5 goes to SLEC, 22.5 goes to the LA1 Coalition, and 10,000 goes to Restore or Retreat. Recommendation is to approve this agreement.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Melanson. Any discussion? Any public comment? Mr. Vic, I want you to come all this way without saying something.
Just glad I can always depend on you to call upon this.
Always.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Yes, I tell you what, I don't think, and Chad, Joni can attest to that. I don't think we've ever been more busy with the port like we have been the last year and how we're going to be this year. I want to thank all the commissioners and, of course, the staff here for working very closely with the South Louisiana Economic Council and the rest of the Select family with the Store Retreat and the Gulf Economic Survival Team and LE1 Coalition. So I think, Mr. Gisclair, you always have a question about our economy. Aha. So the Select Business Barometer comes out quarterly, and I think you gentlemen all get a copy of this. This one only goes up to November. We're still looking for the data for December. But basically, what this tells you is there is some improvement in job growth in the 4 parishes, and of course you see it broken down there too. As far as the overview goes, all signs that we're bottomed out on the economy, and it's kind of staying there right now. A little bit is coming up, so we have some indication that, hey, maybe getting better. Investment is up. In the last 12 months, 19 companies there's 27 projects that have been submitted. That's a $38.9 million impact, and we're looking at over 300 jobs in construction and 384 new jobs in 2018. Crude oil, the price, 68.68 barrel is what the Louisiana Light Sweet is. Long story short, it's hovering, and they see it hovering between 60 and 65 in 2018. Still some bad news, though, with there's some damper on the oil and gas industry with the pending lawsuits. That kind of just is kind of there. It's like a little black cloud. But the good news is with the the President of the United States opening up the oil exploration at 90% of the nation's offshore reserve for development. 47 leases are proposed between 2019 and 2014, 12 issued for the Gulf of Mexico alone. This is going to help some of our local companies here. Other than that, we are also putting together, Chet, our annual report, where I'd like to do like I did last year, come back and go over some of the things we've done this year. And I think the commission will be happy to see the number of things that we've been doing with the port this year.
Any questions?
Yeah, the lawsuits you mentioned, those the legacy lawsuits?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. I mean, it's still
and
there.
the one to the state?
Right, it's still there, you know.
It's still there.
Yeah, well, it's not only helping, what companies we have here that wants to expand out. The recruiting companies are a little bit hesitant here, Texas doesn't have that problem,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank y'all.
Thank you, Vic.
You need to take a vote. I think you have a
Yes.
motion and a second.
Any other public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the amendment of lease with Omni Energy Service Corporation for site GLF 625.
So we talked about them earlier. They're operating on the lease on the site. This amendment fixes the dollar amount for the improvement rent. So when we gave them their original lease, it was based on estimates, what we thought the construction was gonna cost. This number is based on the actual construction cost. So it changes the number to $68,068.20 a month for their improvement rent. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Gode. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the request from Rowan Marine to sublease a portion of property on site, GLF 401 to Seaport.
So this is a non-waterfront site along NJ Terrio Road. And it currently under Rowan would like to sublease that to Seaport for storage of equipment and products.
Moved by Mr. Shermy, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next, we move into Construction and Development Committee. Excuse me, and members are Irvin Bruce Chairman, Larry Griffin, Perry Gisclair, and Rodney Gisclair. Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consider approving the lowest responsive bid for 2018 fuel service.
Okay, we have, we were given 4 bids on the 4 different locations for our fuel. So mid-grade, unleaded gasoline, The lowest markup, which is what we go by, is Gobert Oil, and that's delivered to the Fouchon warehouse. The dyed diesel delivered to Fouchon warehouse, low bid was Gobert Oil. The mid-grade unleaded gasoline delivered to the cutoff warehouse, low bid was Gobert Oil. And then on the dyed diesel to the Galliano Airport Maintenance Shop, the low bid was Siark Oil and Fuel. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Consider approving the lowest responsive bid for 2018 construction material.
Okay, we received, again, 4 bids for the specific items. We had 17 items being bid for limestone, sand, and filter cloth, the supply for the year. And you have a list of all of the low bids. They vary among the different groups that bid on the specific items. Recommendation is to approve all of these low bids, including in number 16, where there was a discrepancy on how Byron Talbot bid on that landlocked S2. It was supposed to be a per roll bid, and they bid a per square yard. And they since have submitted to us an email saying, hey, look, we cannot hold that, we're not gonna sell that to you for per roll at 85 cents. It would actually be $92 a roll, so the low bid is Grand Isle Shipyard on item number 16. So recommendation is to approve as listed and landlock S2 per roll for Grand Isle Shipyard.
Moved by Mr. Bruce, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Consider accepting the clear lien certificate from RLB Contracting for slip C 950 feet, 50 linen feet, west sweep dredging project.
This project is complete. Everything is in order. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Mellison, second by Mr. Griffin. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Finance Committee. The members are John Mellison, Jr., Chairman, Jimmy Guidry, Chris Goudet, and Perry Gisclair. Mr. Mellison.
Morning, and thank you, Mr. President. We'll begin the Finance Committee report by starting off announcing invoices over $10,000 and approving final payment. Crosby Dredging LLC, $248,159.32, and that's for mitigation dredging of slip D, along with slip C, Phase 3 bulkhead. Next, we have Sea Level Construction Incorporated, $246,163.77, and and that's for slip C, 950 linear feet of west bulkhead. Item 3, we have Grand Isle Shipyard Engineering LLC, $204,091.08, and that's for the integrated feasibility study. Item 4, we have Picciola and Associates Incorporated, $56,945.19, and that is for the slip C, 1,671 linear feet of east bulkhead. Item 5, Angelette Picciola LLC, $47,061.20, and that is for slip C, 939 linear feet of bulkhead, the LA1 Phase 2 mitigation project, and slip C, 950 linear feet of west sweep dredging. Item 6, the 2018 intergovernmental agreement with South Louisiana Economic Council, Restore Our Retreat, the LA1 Coalition, and admission to the Washington, D.C. Economic Development Meeting, and that is $43,750. Item 7, Sun Industries, the South Lafourche Airport Lighting Project, $40,088.86. Next, we have RLB Contracting Incorporated, $39,520.40. That's for slip C, 950 linear feet of west sweep dredging. Next, we have Vision Communication, $24,719.24, phone, cable, and internet services. Item 10, Water Institute of the Gulf, $22,961, and that is the screening of dredging alternatives. Item 11, Grand Isle Shipyard Incorporated, $15,925.76 for contract labor for the airport and road work in Fushan. Item 12, Bank of America, monthly credit card charges, $15,125.47. Item 13, Aon Risk Services Southwest Incorporated, $13,368 even, and that's for the airport liability insurance. Item 14, Daily Tower Services Incorporated, $12,260, and that is for the tower repair. Next, we have Carasoft Technology Corporation, $12,028.94, and that is for technical license renewal and support. Item 16, HCR Network Technologies LLC, $11,700, and that is technical support. Item 17, Guardian Computers LLC, $10,286.25, and that's also for technical support and off-site backups. And last, backups. And last, we have Zurich Technologies LLC, $10,001.88, and that is for maintenance for CAD and mobile software. So that, and along with our other expenditures, brings us to a monthly grand total of $1,535,965.30. And if I got this right, I'd like to make a motion, we approve these expenses, Mr. President.
Move by Mr. Millicent, second by Mr. Griffin. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And last, we have consider approving out-of-state travel and training request. We have Executive Director Chet Chasson, External Relations Manager Joni Tuck, along with Commissioners Chucky Sheremy, John Mellison Jr., Rodney Gisclair, Chris Godet, and Curtis Pierce, attending the Louisiana Live event and Washington meetings in Washington, D.C., January 23rd through the 26th. We also have Director of IT, April Danos, attending the American Ports Association Small Ports Program in California, March 5th through the 8th. And we have Director Chasson attending the American Ports Association HMT Reform Policy Meeting, also in Washington, D.C., January 16th and 17th. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, we accept the out-of-state travel and training request.
Moved by Mr. Millicent, second by Mr. Bruce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Mr. President, this concludes the financial report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mellison. Next is any other business, and I do have something. The question that I get asked is, and I know it's going along, perhaps you can explain, is LNG.
Okay.
What has happened? So, and I know there's a permit process, but at the same time, to answer those questions,
Sure.
for anybody who's watching interested, is what I'm saying.
So Joni can come up to the podium as well, because she's been heavily involved with that. In fact, there have been conference calls and emails traded in the last 2 weeks of getting things moving. So Joni, go ahead and give a report.
So we've been in contact with the developer, Mr. Graham Elliott, and they're moving forward. So again, it is in the permit process. They're working through FERC. FERC has issued some comments on their draft resource reports 1 and 10 that they submitted to the FERC recently. They have some comments from some other entities who came out during the public comment period as well. So they have to reply to those public comments first. Then they are putting together the package of information to reply to the questions that they got from FERC on their resource reports 1 and 10. And a lot of that stuff really boils down to conducting some geotech work. So they have engaged a Louisiana firm to do some of their geotech work, get their permit to bore those holes. We're working together with them to coordinate timing for when our works are in the field, because that just makes sense for everyone involved. And so they're moving forward on that front. While we are in DC, Graham will be traveling up there as well, so we'll get to see him as well. They'll have an integrated team meeting while they're in DC, so with their attorneys that are handling their FERC process, their environmental consultants, and with us to keep the ball moving forward. But they are still moving forward.
There's some other things going on the waterway suitability assessment side.
Yep.
Where there's some,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So they also have to run vessel simulations to fit in that waterway suitability assessment, and so they've only just submitted the package of detailed information to a firm that specializes in that to run those simulations, and that should take about 90 days to crunch that data and then produce that, to put that in the WSA, and then we can move forward with the WSA, loop back with our stakeholders. So we did form a focus group of port tenants and port users to talk to them and bounce ideas off of them. So we'll come back to them after those simulations are done, and the Coast Guard, and then that process can start rolling forward again as well in that parallel track.
Mr. Sherman.
Permit wise, what are we looking at, year and a half before we even start construction, right?
Closer to 2 years.
2 years, closer to 2 years.
Before construction.
Everything's gonna be like nothing's going on right now because
It's
it's just
gonna
permit.
seem,
That's-
it's
that's
gonna
what I'm
be-
telling
seem like
people.
nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm telling people, that it's 2-year permit processing before we even start putting, anything down.
Correct, before they're even allowed to
Allowed
turn
to do
dirt
it.
on the site.
Okay.
But
Can we express what the
If-
letters FERC stands for?
Before
I'm sorry.
we continue further, if y'all wanna add this to the agenda so we can keep this discussion going, because we're really,
I thought we were in public comment.
no, we're in any other business.
Any other business.
But even,
And in
even,
any other business, go ahead, Bryce.
yeah, even when there's gonna be any kind of board discussion on a certain topic, it should be on the agenda. So if somebody's gonna come up for public comment and give a report to the board on something, and there's not significant board discussion, it's fine not being on the agenda and just being under public comment. But now if we wanna discuss this more, I would just recommend that we add it.
Okay. Moved by
Mr.
Second?
Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. Mellison. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. I'll turn it over to Chet. Chet turned it over to her.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
I wanted to be made to the
That's right.
public.
It's entirely my fault.
Well, once again, but before we continue, let's realize what the letters FERC stands for, so our viewing audience can understand, and that would be
The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
who have visited down here twice.
Correct, so they have a project manager who's been here to site twice.
Public hearings to
And
state
held,
that right.
held public hearings, so Energy World held an open house, and then FERC held their own open house back, in December?
Okay, I was
November,
laying the
sorry.
foundation, we can continue.
And then, I know Vic wanted to mention something because he has a role here as well in this project.
Yes, working very closely with Chet and Joni. Slec's designated role by the port is to help coordinate the business incentive package for Energy World USA and the project, and also to serve as the vendor manager and coordinate for the work that's going to be done on the site, trying to make sure that we have our local firms an opportunity to do this. Now, right now, again, we've set up a website where you can go to there, and it's a database where you can register your company if you're interested. And all we're doing right now is, the Port's been directing it, just call the South Louisiana Economic Office, and we'll direct you from there if you're interested.
Thank you for that, because that is a question I didn't want to butt in, but that is a question I've been getting. Where do companies and people go for employment or future work? And that's great. Thank you.
Call Slack.
Yeah, and
That's right, call
Vic,
Vic.
Vic did mention it, but the website is bayouregion.com/Fouchon LNG, all one word. And you can sign up to register for updates as well on the project there.
And while we're talking about jobs, there would be several construction jobs, and I think a lot of the questions we get are how many long-term jobs there would be. We have a basic idea of that number, be 100, 200?
So they estimate probably about 1,200 construction jobs during construction, and then long-term operation, anywhere from 50 to 100 full-time permanent positions.
Plus the
On the site.
subcontractors that would have to support
Correct.
all of this.
Correct, so that would be actually operating the facility is at 50 to 100, but obviously, the site's only accessible by water. They're gonna have an extensive logistics supply chain that's gonna need to assist them, so there's a lot of opportunity out there.
I think that's where Mr. Gisclair was going. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, and that's just.
Yes, sir.
Not every month, perhaps every 2 months, an update. We could put it as an update, because you get those questions in like
Yes, I do.
2 years, and some people don't hear nothing, and naturally, right away, oh, this is not gonna happen,
Yeah.
it's dead. No, it takes time to work through the permit process, and it's a big project, it's almost $1 billion project, would it be? And, it's gonna be good for the area, but we have to work it through, and, at least an update every once in a while would be good.
We can do it, I mean, we'll do it quarterly, if that's okay.
Yep, absolutely. Cool.
Thank you, Joni.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Any public comment? Go ahead.
Public comment. Or ask any questions, right? Is that,
No questions.
I know y'all don't like questions.
Oh, we'll take all the questions.
How
Take all the
did,
questions
how did
you
this
want.
area got chosen to do this project? Anybody knows?
Yes.
How?
We know. Because when they were researching the entire Gulf Coast, they isolated this area as the best location because it's centrally located in the Gulf. Because of the fact that it's not a port that's, I'm gonna use a big, a term, gentrify, meaning there's not a lot of people that live in the general vicinity. It's an industrial facility, and that's what they were looking for. And it just fit everything that they were looking for. Not just that, the pipeline infrastructure in the area for the feedstock was perfect. It just fit.
Because of the corridor, the pipeline corridor?
Exactly, pipeline
Okay.
corridor in the area. It checked every box that you have whenever it comes to this size of LNG project. Because this is not the 20 million tons a year project. This is a 2 million ton to 5 million ton per annum of LNG creation, and it just fit perfectly in that mold.
Well, I know Jindal's not in office, so he can't give any tax credit.
Right.
But are they being allowed any state or parish tax credit?
At this point, there's nothing that has been agreed upon.
Agreed on?
I mean, there's going to be some review of that, but it's going to certainly be fair to
What?
all.
What is fair?
Get a new governor.
No, I mean,
We're in discussion, but it's probably something we can't announce. But
Yeah, well, I
those
understand that. I
discussions
just
are
thought
being-
maybe y'all,
That's
that
being-
was been discussed before, and it's not been discussed, so it has not been one way or the other,
No,
as far as tax
not
is
at all.
concerned.
No.
But it
Okay.
is in the conversation.
But yes, we have been in discussions with them. They know they have to pay taxes. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion with adjourn.
Moved by Mr. Jeremy, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Meeting adjourned. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming.